The following podcast contains coarse language and adult themes. This week on the show, we're getting together with some pals, grabbing our spacesuits and jumping into what can only be described as a giant anus. That's right, we're talking Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and welcoming a very special guest host all the way from the end of the line. I'm Reegs.
I'm Bloodaxe.
And I'm Juan.
And this is the Film Addicts podcast. Hey folks, and welcome back to the Film Addicts podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm here with Addy and our very special guest host, Juan, from the End of the Line podcast. How you doing, man?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me. I'm doing well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks so much for coming on. Addy, how are you? How are you?
Doing good. Thank you
doing
so
good
much.
3 times.
Thank you so much for coming. Juan?
Yeah, no problem.
It's exciting. It's our first threesome. And we're doing it on the internet, which is the way to do it if you want to get famous.
I'm sure there's plenty of websites that have that specific category. Yeah.
Oh, we're on a bunch of them already. I think by accident.
I think I have a few open right now.
You've got a few open. Addy's got some tabs.
Nice.
Yeah. So again, so happy to have you here, man, and to chat some nerd shit. Give the folks at home who don't know who you are and what you do a little rundown. You have a podcast. It's called The End of the Line that you do with your pal Kike, and tell us about it.
Yeah, my partner in crime couldn't be here today. He sends his regards. He did give me his notes on the movie, so I can let you know his thoughts and topics on it.
Great.
Over in the States, Chicago to be specific. We're kind of, I remember on your anniversary episode, you kind of said like we're the U.S. counterparts to you guys. I thought that was pretty spot on. I love that. Thanks again for that shout out, guys. That was awesome of you guys.
No worries.
But yeah, we're just a couple of nerds over here. Like to talk nerd shit.
Yeah, man. If you enjoy this show, everyone, go and check out the End of the Line podcast with Juan and Kike. It is basically like this, but with different accents. And there's a genuineness and a lovingness to the material that you don't get because it never feels like you guys are selling yourselves. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
we try to really thrive on that. Like that's why we don't at the end of each episode we're not like, hey, like, subscribe, and do all those other influencers or freaking streamers that you see. Nerd
love, that's exactly what we like. And it is a hysterical show. You guys have great chemistry, and it's wonderful to have you here. We're talking Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the James Gunn swan song from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and there's a few subtle digs I think they're going on, but we'll talk about that a bit more. But before we go on, I just want to check in with my main man, Addy. How you doing, brother? What's going on?
I'm doing good. In our intro, we've had threesome and space anus. So that's cool.
Space anus is hard to say. You've got to say it 3 times. Space anus, space anus, space anus. Yeah, well, like again, we keep saying it's season 2. You're here or you're not. Like it's raw as hell. So, but to do the thing that we do, regular segments, we've got to get into what are we watching. But before we do that, Addy, Johnny was. I caught up with him the other day, where me and the boys at the studio got together to sit down and listen to the new Sleep Token album. If you've been listening to the show, you know that I've been listening to Sleep Token quite a bit lately. So we all got together and listened to the album and played poker and had a good night. And JP's there and he's like, "I've got a little something for you," and he Dropboxed me a theme song for the What Are We Watching segment, and it's basically like it's like a mixed down version of the title track. For our show. So that's going to go in as soon as we finish doing our little voice part. So are you ready for this?
Yeah. Thank you, Johnny.
Okay. What are we
watching?
Okay, so what are we watching? It's some stuff. And things is what we're watching. I think we're going to go to our transcontinental guest host right now. Juan, what have you been watching this week? TV, movie, whatever?
I'm like in the middle, just deep into like Dora the Explorer right now. She just found a map last episode. Shit got crazy, man. No, I'm kidding. Honestly, dude, I'm kind of waiting for this summer for all the new things to drop, like comic book stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But I haven't really been watching nothing new really. I did check out this show on Netflix called The Night Agent. I don't know if you guys get that out there. That's a pretty solid watch. It's kind of political, like politics meets Born Identity style.
I was gonna say it looks very Bourne.
Yeah, it was a solid watch, dude. It has you like wanting to get to that next episode to find out what's gonna happen. It was a pretty good watch.
Right on. So it's a show. I thought it was a movie. It's a show.
It's a show. It's got episode. I want to say 10 episodes, and they're like a good hour length. So it's a pretty solid stuff.
Right in. Well, there you go, folks. Dig into The Night Agent. Addy, what have you been watching?
A bunch of stuff. But just going back a few episodes, we said goodbye to Ted Lasso today.
Yeah, that's the end of it. I haven't watched it the last two because I do it with a couple of friends of mine who I've talked about before, Jess and Tyler. We kind of get together and have dinner and watch the show, and we haven't been able to the last few weeks. So no fucking spoilers. And tell me about unless Keely does, gets together with. Well, she kind of does get together with people I want her to. Unless her, you know what? Don't tell me anything. I don't want to know anything.
So that was emotional, and
right.
I watched Normal People for the 20th time. Completed a round figure.
My God. Do you know it word for word?
No, not this one. I do know Endgame though.
Hell yeah.
Parts of it.
Yeah, Endgame. That's how many was it? 300 was it? 300 times?
It was 199.
It was 478.
Yeah, I'm about that too. I'm like right there.
That's a good thing about home viewing. Actually, I don't know if we mentioned this before. Juan was saying he does have a partner in crime, the Addy to his Regs, Kike, who had a previous engagement, couldn't come on, which is a bummer. But we'll have him back at some stage. I do believe that he had to. Was that right? He had to go back in time and take the stones back and then get together with his missus from the 1940s. So, we wish him the best, and eventually he's going to turn up on a park bench old, and he's going to give you a shield.
That's right. I look forward to that. not the missing his whole life, but the shield part.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, well, you were gone so long, but thanks for the gift.
Yeah, appreciate it. This is legit. This is an actual movie prop. Thank you.
Yeah.
If you were to say... this is off topic, but if you were to say one of you was Captain America and one of you was Bucky, which way around would you do it, knowing that he's not here to defend himself right now?
Oh God, I gotta give him Cap. He's the more level-headed. Like I'm very reactive to things. He's very like dialed down. I'm pretty sure he'd agree with me on this one. I'll ask him after this, but. I'm pretty sure he would be the Cap and I'd be the Bucky. He's more level-headed, and I don't know. I guess he sees steps ahead that I don't.
Yeah, sure. He's also seems very measured and like dignified. Not that you don't, but just
yeah. He's definitely more than that.
Yeah. yeah, exactly. Anyway, regardless of all that, so Normal People for the 20th time, you maniac. Anything else?
I started Succession.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not my thing.
Not your thing. Have you watched Succession 1?
I have not. I've seen ads for it, but I don't know, that whole business world. I feel like I just fall asleep each episode.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the same way I felt like everyone's like, you got to watch Yellowstone. I love Tyler Sheridan's work. Like Wind River is one of the best movies I've ever seen, but it's just like a bunch of fucking rich people banging on. Like, it's like, would you fuck off? Like, oh no, we own land. Oh God, it's so difficult. Like, shut up.
Yeah,
bunch of fucking Kevin Costners. Just, go and die in a tornado again already.
Exactly.
Ow.
Yeah, sorry, Zaddy. Yeah, that was a bit of a sharp dig. Poor Kevin. Cool. All right. Well, since Addy hasn't watched Succession, I'm just going to say what I've watched, and I've watched a bunch of stuff, but one thing I watched was the film Atlantis, The Lost Empire, the Disney picture from the
year
of our Lord 1999. You like that one?
That's a good one, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's got to be up there with my favorites. And I did it as a double bill with Disney's Tarzan, or as I like to call it, the 90-minute Phil Collins film clip, which is totally cool.
I think he was the only person on that soundtrack. Yeah.
He wrote the score and all the songs, so yeah, that's it. And I think Rosie O'Donnell sang one of them because she was the monkey character. But as a double bill, they're great because they share DNA in terms of the animation style. Even though the animation style for Atlantis is loosely based on Mike Mignola, the guy who created Hellboy, it has that kind of blockiness to it. And of course, the wonderful Michael J. Fox in the voice performance of his life, and it's such it's interesting. It's so diverse. Like, it's such a diverse, group of people. There's the Italian guy who owned the flower shop. There's the French guy who's the mole guy. There's the big Dr. Sweet who's half Navajo, half African American. There's the Latino mechanic who's like 16 or whatever. Like, it's a lot going on there. Real agency to everyone. All the female roles are not just females for the sake of being females and all that kind of stuff. And it's big, blockbuster action adventure with real heart and real tenderness. And I'm like, why the fuck is Disney remaking all these fish people movies and all that stuff? And they're not even considering remaking, one of the best action adventure movies since Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know what I mean? It just seems bizarre to me.
I just love the stereotypes in that one. As the Latino as a mechanic, I'm just like dead on.
Is that a stereotype for
Latinos? It's I don't know if it's a stereotype, but it's fact. Everybody I know a mechanic, and he's Latino. Guarantee you. You could ask a Latino, hey, do you know a mechanic? Be like, yeah, my cousin's a mechanic. I guarantee you.
Yeah, I am a mechanic, low key. Yeah. Well, I mean that's probably true of a couple of other stereotypes in it. The guy, the guy who plays the Italian sort of demolitions expert. He was a regular on Saturday Night Live in the 70s. I can't remember his name, but he's just got a real thick accent, and sometimes you can't really follow what he's saying 100%. But he's just got this line. His opening line, he's like wheels past Milo, who's the Michael J. Fox character, and he goes past him with like a wheelie thing, and it's just heaps and heaps of dynamite and all this stuff, like all these explosives.
Yeah,
he goes, what have you got in there? He goes, your fuses, wicks, glue, and paper clips, big ones. Just like office supply. Like, he's just, it just nails the comedy for me. I don't know if it's typical of an Italian to own a flower shop, because that's kind of his backstory, but whatever. But anyway, Disney, if you're listening, Disney Plus, yeah, I'm right here. I'm listening. Have you guys watched Wendy and Peter Pan? No, we haven't watched that. No one's watched it, all right? Just shut the fuck up. Are you going to remake Atlantis? Oh, I'm not sure if we can, because we actually kind of stole that from a manga. Oh, you fucking idiots. Oh, my God. It's like that White Lion thing in Simba.
Yeah.
Nonsense. Anyway, that's what we were watching. And after that, this is good, actually, because, Juan, you just mentioned that you're getting ready to, go into the American summer. We're getting into June and July, and it's a wonderful time to be in America because it's summer, and you've got all the big movies coming out. I don't know what the temperature's like in Chicago.
Today is a scorcher. It feels like summer already.
Okay, well, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah, it's going to be up to like 90 today.
That's Fahrenheit, isn't it? Well,
Fahrenheit. I couldn't tell you what Celsius is.
If you're going to get on
40,
the podcast,
it's like 40 degrees.
40 degrees. That's serious business. That is ball soup kind of weather.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And we hope you stay cool. But we're going into the American summer. There's going to be heaps of movies coming out. One of them is one of the movies we're going to talk about in Nerd News. So are you ready to do the Nerd News?
Let's do some Nerd News.
Today in the Nerd News, got a couple of quick stories before we get into the bulk of the episode. The first one is, I don't know how you guys feel about this, Deadpool 3 apparently will feel a lot more like a Wolverine movie than a Deadpool movie, according to some person. It was Rob Liefeld actually. The guy who can't draw feet. I mean, he can draw them, but not well. I mean, he can't really draw well at all. There's a weird thing going on with Rob Liefeld. I don't know. Do you guys know who Rob Liefeld is?
Yeah, Deadpool, or Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool made a joke about him in Deadpool 2.
He did. He goes, "You bet a guy who can't even draw feet." Yeah. Addy, do you know his work?
Fuck no.
You don't know his work? Huge artist in the 90s. It was him and Mark Silvestri and Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane and a couple of other guys who broke away from Marvel and created Image Comics and launched all their own series and stuff. And before that, Rob was working on X-Force, I think it was, and created Deadpool and stuff. But he, like, notoriously bad artist, like, just no consistency at all. Like, look up his Captain America run that he did for the Heroes Reborn run in the early 90s, the mid 90s, after he came back to Marvel. It's fucking obscene. Like, it's just ridiculous. But it's kind of have a renaissance now because it's looked at, Grant Morrison said it's looked at like as abstract art now. But he's still drawing, like he's doing like the most recent Deadpool series they're doing now. But anyway, he's heavily involved in the picture because I think he owns some of the rights to Deadpool. I don't know how he managed that. But he said, Rifle tweeted a picture of it and he was like, also, just an FYI, this is way more of a Wolverine movie. How do we feel about that, fellas? Let's go with Addy.
That's not something you say when you're marketing a movie that has a legacy character coming back. That's not what you say.
What is he supposed to say?
Anything other than that.
What's wrong with saying that? Like, it's just like, by the way, werewolves. Yeah, there's werewolves in it. Sure, Wolverine's in it. What, and he's in it for the most. Why is that a problem?
I mean, having Wolverine in it is not the problem. It's just saying the name Wolverine while marketing another movie, because the Wolverine movies haven't been that good.
I beg to differ.
All right, then that's my time. My podcast is done. Good night.
See you, Eddie. Bye.
All right, it's our podcast now.
I mean, Logan's straight up one of the best.
Seriously, you can't be talking about Logan when you say that.
Fuck no. That's why I said Wolverine, not Logan.
Yeah, the other two Wolverine pictures. I mean, the James Mangold directed one, like the Wolverine, the one set in Japan's pretty good, and then it drops the ball in the third act, and a giant robot samurai comes in. You're like, where the fuck did this come from?
I have mixed feelings about that movie.
Yeah, and Origins is just a weird, like, obscene. It's a curiosity, if nothing else, just to watch how bizarre that film is. But like, how do you feel about that one? Like, you're a big nerd fan. You're looking forward to Wolverine coming back at all?
I am, just because Ryan Reynolds is involved with it, so I feel like that take on Wolverine. But just a quick to talk to you what you had talked about with the art. You gotta love art. If it's shit art, they're just like, I just call it abstract.
Yeah.
They're just like, nobody will know. It's like, just abstract.
No, he just has no idea
it's
what
so
human
subjective,
anatomy is. Like that's his big issue.
Like, just draw shoes, man. If you can't draw feet, just cover them up.
Exactly.
Draw socks on them, for God's sake.
That's totally fine. Or little booties.
But is in regards to the calling it a Wolverine movie, I gotta feel like it's a marketing ploy to get Wolverine fans to watch it.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, it's just, he's not just cameoing in it. Cameoing?
Yep.
Cameoing, I think, is the word. Cameoing is he's all in military garb.
Yeah. That you can't see him. But yeah, that one I feel like that's what it is.
Yeah.
If he's heavy in the movie, then okay. But I don't know. I kind of feel like it's a marketing ploy, just to get people to watch it.
Yeah, and like the Hugh Jackman coming back is a pretty big deal, especially after Logan. I just hope they don't. Me and Addy were talking about it when they first announced it. And it's just they don't want to retcon what all the good they did in Logan could be undone, especially if it's canonized. But if it's Ryan Reynolds jumping through different time places and finding him in different timelines, that's I'm a little bit more cool with that. But do you think that they'll call it something else? Because Deadpool 2 was just Deadpool 2. Like, do they call this one Deadpool v Wolverine, or
I don't know. Right now it's just Deadpool was with the 3 slashes. I think they might keep it that way. But they have said that this movie is kind of Deadpool. And did you hear that the TVA is involved in this one?
Yeah,
from Loki. So
he
I think it's
becomes an
him
agent of it,
destroying. Yeah, it's him. Well, from what I thought, it's him fighting the TVA also,
Oh,
because
okay.
he's trying to destroy the Fox universe in a way.
Yeah.
So it's like it's him like canceling that out to be like, it's all Marvel now.
That's pretty
I don't know.
funny, actually. That's pretty
Yeah.
funny. I
Or
don't
to
know.
just clean up his mess ups with dealing with his actions at the end of Deadpool 2.
Yeah, and it sort of like, feels like that was a post credits joke, but it looks like they're going to make it some legit stuff.
Yeah.
Like whatever that means. But we'll see what happens. As long as Colossus comes back and is a major dick again, it'd be great. Okay, so next, this story is sort of in two parts. But they're both sort of tangentially related to the Flash. One is the Flash director dropped a huge Superman cameo spoiler, and it's not Henry Cavill.
Can we not talk about this, like the cameo at all, please?
Why not?
That's a sore spot for him.
I've been staying away from that for like 2 months now.
Okay, so you don't know
No,
what I'm about to say? Or...
I do not know anything that you're gonna say. Let's not do that, please.
Oh, we're not... Okay, so you don't want to know the Superman cameo that isn't Henry Cavill.
Isn't it?
Look at, he's just wiping his brow like, oh, for fuck this kid. I hate this guy. No, do you not want to say... Do you want to tell you this one?
So
you don't want to know this one?
This is Nicolas Cage?
It is Nicolas Cage.
Fuck!
He's
Oh my
apparently
God.
cameoing.
What?
Yeah. Would you believe it? Okay, so according to Flash director Andy
Spoilers for the
Muschietti-
Flash, everyone.
Spoilers for the fuck, it's on the internet. There's no spoilers required. We haven't seen it yet. Apparently everybody's seen it though, and it's the best thing ever. Okay, so the Flash director Andy Muschietti, during an interview with Esquire Middle East, the highly anticipated Ezra Miller-led film will feature a cameo from the man, the myth, the legend himself, Nicolas Cage, in a role he first suited up for almost 3 decades ago in a film that didn't get made, which was called Superman: The Life and Death of Superman, I think, or Superman Rebirth, or Superman Returns, or something. There's even footage of him in the costumes. Tim Burton was going to direct it. Juan, you look surprised. Did you not know this?
What? I number one, I did not know this, and number two, I cannot picture a person furthest away from Superman.
No, wait. I have to show
Nicolas
him
Cage.
that picture then. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
so Addie's going to send you a picture of him.
Okay.
This is legit. There's even a documentary called "The Death of the Life and Death of Superman" or something that they did about the making of this film. They spent $100 million on it, and it didn't go like anywhere. Cage was in suits. They had a script. It was based on the Death of Superman run where he gets killed by Doomsday and comes back. Kevin Smith worked on a version of the screenplay.
Oh damn.
And then Tim Burton came in and it never got off the ground. But there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff and it's sort of like this alternate universe of what could have happened if Nicolas Cage played Superman.
I would have went to see that just for the sake that Tim Burton's behind it, because I'd be like, okay, he did Batman. Let's see his take on Superman. But I probably wouldn't have gotten behind Nick Cage. I'm sorry, I just can't.
I think
do it.
maybe then. Like, he would have been coming off the back of, I don't know, maybe The Rock, or maybe it was a little earlier than that. I'm not sure, but he probably, like, then it makes more sense. Now it's like, what? Are you fucking serious? This guy looks like, no, he looks like somebody who has had a lot of money and then lost it all because he is. In the chat, I think Addy just dropped the picture. Have a look. I just want to get your. This is a live reaction of Juan looking at Nick Cage as Superman. Oh, there's a whole bunch. There's a whole bunch. And it's legizzle. He's got, I mean, that receding hairline. Superman would not have a... I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a receding hairline or being bald, but, like, that's not Superman. Superman has a full head of hair. It's beautiful. It's coiffed.
Yeah, he's got the curl.
Yep.
Can't have a curl. Oh, God.
And he's British.
Can you see it?
And he's British.
Yeah, I got it. That is just no.
And he's British, did you say?
Yeah.
That's all kinds of no for me.
Nicolas Cage isn't British.
I don't give a fuck. My Superman's British.
That's true. I know. Yeah. Yeah. It's. I mean, it looks. The costume looks the shit, and all that kind of stuff. And then it's just Nick Cage's head, and you're like, all right.
No.
He was a huge comic book fan, though. Like, so it makes sense.
Okay, I get that, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe because I've seen him as Ghost Rider, and that fits him better. That fits his personality better, Ghost Rider, than Superman, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's someone scratching at the door. That film was shot in Melbourne, actually. I had a bunch of friends who worked on it.
I feel like we're one day going to see the news of Addie just in jail for killing somebody over a Henry Cavill argument. He's the real Superman.
Yeah, it'll be me, probably. It's like, you always hurt the ones you love. You know what I'm saying?
Man flies to Australia to kill his best friend over
podcaster kills other podcaster in Henry Cavill rant. Yeah, all right. Well, Addie, you know, that's... Sorry, go ahead, mate.
It'll be live on a broadcast, too. You'll just hear a knock at the door. What the... Oh, hold on, Addie. Somebody's at the door.
Snicked. Yeah, man. You're like, Jesus Christ.
Wait.
Sorry, what were you going to say, Addie?
Just to put a pin on the whole Nicolas Cage thing. If you look at the pictures, the only description that I can give that's pure to what the actual fucking vibe of that picture is that it's Nicolas Cage with long hair in a Power Rangers costume.
Perfect. God. That's exactly what it is. You're absolutely right. It's a Power Rangers outfit. What a beautiful point to make. One more quick story before we go. Again, about Andy Muschietti. That's not how you say it. Andy Muschietti. Andy Muschietti.
Close.
Is it Muschietti? Muschietti? Muschietti?
Yeah, it's the other one.
Mosquito. Mesquite. Sorry. Okay, hang on. It's early. Here we go. Andy Muschietti, when asked what direction he would take a Batman movie, said, "I don't think I can talk about that yet."
Yeah.
So it seems like he may be hinting that after The Flash, he might be going on to make the Brave and the Bold picture.
After The Flash
any thoughts there?
And the death of the DCEU. Say the whole thing, man. Hurt me. Hurt me.
He's a pain pig. Yeah, I mean, well, look, he is yet to prove himself in a superhero world with The Flash coming out, and I only use that story as a tipping point to ask. Now that we have you, I mean, Addie have talked about it, and I'll get your opinion too, buddy. But I just want to ask one: how do you feel about the Flash movie? Like, are you primed for it? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm optimistic about it. I think from what we've seen it's gonna. I just hope to God they fix what's his name?
Ben
the actor.
Affleck's?
No.
Oh.
No,
Ezra Miller?
I'm past Ezra Miller. I just hope to God they fix his run, because his run was just ridiculous in the first Flash, or in the Justice League.
That sort of the skating.
He looks like he's tripping but never falling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? He's just flailing. Who runs like that? I've never seen anybody.
Really needs to take a shit. That's what it looks like to me. We do need to preface as well. Just we've had to do this before.
Yeah.
Ezra Miller is they. They identify as they, not he. Which is totally fine if you didn't know that. It doesn't matter.
I did not know. Yeah, that's news to me.
But I mean, regardless of their performance, you know, you're pumped to see this movie. It's going to be a big fucking.
I am, and I don't know if it's because I'm a '90s kid, so like, Michael Keaton was my first Batman.
Same.
So I think just pure nostalgic reasons, I'm just like pumped for this, just to see Keaton back in that Batman suit.
Yeah, right.
And then you saw the shot of just all the different suits he has, because we only ever saw the one,
two
with
really,
the blaring nipple in it, with just fucking beaming us in the eye. You know what I mean? Why would you include that in your bat suit? For what purpose do you need two nips just blaring at us?
It's a sexy prank, is what it is.
I think
it's a sexy distraction. Yeah,
I think it is. It's a rope-a-dope. So people look down there and then he punches you right in the face.
Exactly, you know what I mean? Right. It would distract me. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I'm looking forward to the Flashpoint too. Just that whole storyline. It's a great Flash storyline.
One of the best.
That Flashpoint series. So yeah. Oh yeah. I don't think Addie agrees with that.
No, Addie likes the Flashpoint book. I know that. I think let's get your feelings, buddy. I know that you feel like this is where they're gonna break the chain, and it's going to be something completely different after this, and you're going to have to say goodbye to all the things that you love. Do you think that the movie will be good at least, or?
After all that, fuck no.
That's totally fair.
See, I am fucking excited because we get to see Ben Affleck as Batman for the last time. We finally get to see Supergirl, and it's Supergirl's fucking amazing. That's like 80% of the reason why I'm gonna watch it. And I love the Flashpoint storyline. I've read it like 10 times now. I just don't think they're gonna nail the Flashpoint thing. Like, it's the reason why the Flashpoint works is because you have Thomas Wayne and you see the Dark World.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The version of reality that Barry goes back to in the Flashpoint storyline.
That's the one where Thomas Wayne is Batman, right?
That's right. Yeah, it was Bruce
that's a great.
that was killed that
I
night.
hope to God we get to see a live action of that at some point in time.
Yeah, we talked about it too. I mean, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who was cast as Thomas Wayne in Batman and
in
Batman
that flashback,
Superman. Yeah, it's like he would have been great at it, and it's a really good story. Like it's they goes back, you know, that's the Batman that Barry finds, and Bruce was the one who was killed in the alley, and Martha Wayne went insane, and she became the Joker, and there's a war going on between Atlantis and Themyscira. Superman's, you know, been held up in a prison, and it looks like they've taken elements like DNA from that and shoved it in this movie. But the actual, if you want to see a really good Flash movie, just go and watch the Flashpoint animated movie, because it's fucking the tits.
That's the shit. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan voices Thomas Wayne in that.
He does too, yeah.
Here's a crazy twist. What if Michael Keaton is Thomas Wayne?
It's not.
I keep saying that, yeah.
It's
They've made it clear that's not the case.
We were hoping for it. It's not. He's returning as fucking Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
He is? Okay.
He's all happy and hope. He's all happy and hopeful and shit. He's fucking Batman.
Yeah. It's. We shall see what we shall see. My man Chaz got in touch with me and sent a screenshot. He reckons that Michelle Pfeiffer's in it in some capacity. Like there's an image of like a woman. Well, it looks like a woman. It's a person with long hair anyway, but it's really quick in front of all the Batsuits in one of the trailers. So maybe
that'd be awesome.
Still together,
that'd be
having
cozy.
a poke.
Maybe.
I gotta ask.
Yeah, go on.
Addie, so there's a generation gap, right? Me and Regs are kind of closer in age range, and then since Henry Cavill is your Superman, who is your Batman?
Ben Affleck. It's just
okay,
has to be
fair enough. Because mine is Chris. What is his name? I'm blanking on it right now. Christian Bale. To me, even though Michael Keaton was my first Batman, Christian Bale is my who I think did the best job at it. So I think Addie's gonna have to move on from Henry Cavill the way we did with Christian Bale.
Yeah, but to be fair, though, I mean, Christian Bale got to finish what he was doing.
That's true. Yeah.
Like,
Cavill
didn't get a chance to do it. In fact, they gave him a chance and then went, "Oh, nah, sorry," and pulled the rug out from underneath the poor dude. You know, like it was.
Yeah, I think that's what that cameo. Did you not guys know that cameo in Black Adam was originally going to be Shazam?
Oh, really? Why didn't they do that?
Yeah, I don't know why. I think The Rock vetoed that.
Yeah,
Dwayne Johnson.
Something I think The Rock.
He's like, no, I want Henry Cavill to be in it, and then we all know how that story ended.
Yeah, can we not bring that up? Thank you so much.
There's a whole episode on that. Go and check it out.
There are 2 episodes actually. There are 2 episodes where you see me at my highest and then you see me at my fucking lowest.
That's right. Yeah, we did the Black Adam, and then we did the Superman is fucked episode was what the subtitle of it was. Yeah.
Addie's gonna be like just that ex that can't get past the relationship of why they got dumped with Henry Cavill.
Yeah. Well, sometimes these things hang on.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Addie?
I'm gonna take offense to that.
How dare you?
I mean, Ben Affleck's Batman is the only Batman we've seen with the Justice League, so I don't give a fuck if this is a generational gap. It's just
I don't get why that is too. So it took so long to see Batman with the Justice League. I don't get it.
You'd think it would be I mean, they were gonna do it in, I think it was the mid 2000s or 2010 or something like that. Well, last time they had a writer's strike, so it would have been
2008,
early 2000s.
Yeah.
Was it 2008? Was it? Yeah. And George Miller, the director of Mad Max, was going to direct it, and it was shooting here in Sydney, and they had the cast ready to go. That kid from the OC was playing the Flash. Armie Hammer was going to be Batman. And I can't remember who was Superman. And there's actually the supermodel. What's her name? She was in Mad Max Fury Road. I can't remember her name. There's a bunch of like costume tests of her as Wonder Woman. And yeah, the writer
not Charlize Theron, right? Not that one.
No,
not
that wasn't her. Okay. It was Megan Gale. And yeah, they pulled the whole thing from that. So it was called Justice League Mortal. The script's online. It's not very good, but you can read it if you want. But for me, Batman will always be Kevin Conroy.
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure. He embodied that voice alone. Just embodied Batman.
It's incredible. Like it's just such a slight tonal shift and a completely different persona. I'm rereading the sequel to The Dark Knight Returns at the moment. Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. He did a sequel to that in 2001, I think it was. It's absolutely bizarre, and some of the artwork in it is fucking terrible, but it's like, you've got to respect, his balls for just being like, yeah, I'm going to do a sequel to probably the greatest comic book story ever written. And I'm rereading it now. And when I read it, I can hear Kevin's voice in my head.
Yeah. Speaking of nerd news, did you and Deadpool? Did you hear since you mentioned the writer's strike? Did you hear that Ryan Reynolds can't improv lines or just add anything to the script? Yeah, he can't because he's on as a writer.
Yeah.
To the movie, he's banned from improving.
Oh fuck! He's going to explode. His head's going to explode.
We're gonna see an actual his nose is just gonna start bleeding in the middle of a scene. He's like, I can't not do it.
It's like that episode of Friends where they've bet Chandler he can't make fun of them, and he's got all these jokes that he's trying to get out and he can't do it. That's wild. Okay, well, I mean,
or he's just gonna Steve Carell and Anchorman it and just start.
yeah, exactly. Well, look, I wish him the best. I hope he gets through it. Fuck, that sucks, actually. I feel like the ad-libbing is part of what gives those movies energy.
Right, yeah, because a lot of times, that's what Ryan Reynolds is just fucking brilliant at.
He's
just going off. Yeah, man, just going off on it. But they're still in production, and I think it's because the script was written before the strike.
Yeah, anything that was already started could continue, but it was just they couldn't get banging on with other things. Yeah, well, there you go. That was the nerd news. Addy, did you have any nerd news? Anything to add?
No, but I do want to go back to your Juan's Black Adam rant on why Shazam didn't show up, because I actually have a reason for it.
Okay.
The Rock was actually gonna take over fucking DC and do a lot of shit himself, which he never was actually gonna do. But the reason why there was no Shazam is because Black Adam was a 15-year passion project for The Rock, and he did not want the first ever fight that Black Adam has to be the big Shazam versus Black Adam. He wanted Superman in his film, and he got that.
Yeah.
That it's too bad that he wasn't able to get that done until right before James Gunn took over, because I would have really liked to see that. They have an animated, I think it's a movie or a short or something like that. I think it's a movie of the Shazam, Superman versus Black Adam. I would have loved to see live action of that.
Fuck yeah. That's what I'm talking
amazing. About. Yeah.
We're so spoiled nowadays.
We are.
There's so much stuff going on. You just watching these things. I've gone with a friend of mine. Speaking of the Nolan trilogy of Batman pictures, they do a legacy screening at the Astor almost every year, and they're doing 4K restorations, so we're going to go to that. But I had to rewatch Batman Begins for the Assemble podcast. Hey Tommy and DL, if you're listening. And I hadn't rewatched it in quite some time, and geez, there was something quaint about how small that movie is in comparison to what we have now. You got to remember that was before Iron Man came out. We just don't get that anymore. But it's beautiful and it's wonderful. And speaking of James Gunn, we're going to move on. We're going to move on now to the main topic of the day, which is This
Space
threesome,
anus.
that we're gonna do it. There's gonna be space anuses. There's gonna be fingers everywhere. We're just gonna explore and see what happens until
Nice.
all of us pound.
All right.
All right. I love it. So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the final movement in this Euclid of cinematic representations of the Guardians of the Galaxy, written and directed by James Gunn, of course, just before he steps out the door into a completely different universe, and he kind of farts before he leaves, which is pretty fun. First impressions about the picture. One, I asked you off record, how you felt about it, and you said you really loved it.
I absolutely did. It's definitely one of the better MCU movies, especially in a long time, or since Endgame. But I would say it's probably up there. It's the best one since No Way Home for me.
Sure.
Because just No Way Home just hit, dude, on so many levels for me. But yeah, I think it's definitely up there, and it's rare to get that in the trilogy, in the third of a trilogy.
Right.
It's usually the first film is the better one, and then they kind of trail off in forms of like excitement or quality. But James Gunn nailed it on this third one, in my opinion.
Yeah, Addy, how do you feel about it?
It's my favorite MCU movie, and I still hate parts of it.
Yeah,
it's your favorite MCU movie.
Nice.
Out of the 30,648 movies that they've made, this is your favorite.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna need to defend that position, buddy.
Yeah. He doesn't answer with me. I get it. I would 100% get it. But yeah.
Okay,
for the audience out there.
I'll leave the podcast, shall I? I'll see you later. No, tell me why. Tell me why.
Ain't nothing. Nope, we're going to get copyright strike.
I was doing, I wasn't doing that. I was doing the theme song from the TV show with Paul Reiser and Helen Hunt, Mad About You. But that's okay. You were doing the Backstreet Boys. Go ahead. We've got the little minutes thing here running, but that's fine. I want to hear you've got 10 minutes to tell me your story.
So I've seen it like 3 times now, and there are parts of it that I don't like, but the Guardians felt more of a family to me this time around than like ever. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Like there's a lot of yelling going on, but there's so much love in there. Like, I've yelled like that.
I mean, that just personifies family. What family doesn't yell?
And it felt good because like I think like 80% has to do with the fact that me as a person has grown up watching the Guardians and like their trilogy.
Sure.
And yeah, because I'm a baby.
It's Baby Blood X.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a final goodbye, and it ends in a way that I really appreciate it. I know a lot of people were pissed off on how it ended. I really appreciate the ending. It's the ending that I wanted, basically. And yeah, it gave me vibes of, because now I'm doing my D&D campaign, so now it just gave me vibes of just how D&D James Gunn went, because he's a D&D player as well. So
okay, well, yeah, it seems
who's
like
pissed off at that ending? That was a beautiful ending.
Yeah, right. It makes perfect sense that everybody goes off on their own way, and Star-Lord goes back home. Like, it's to be great is to go on is to go far is return. Like, it's just that's perfect storytelling.
I think those people might not know that there's different. The Guardians are kind of similar to the Avengers, where that there's different team ups of the Guardians.
Yeah.
So they probably don't know that. So like we saw it at the end of this film, where it's a brand new team, and it's like, let's go. I want to see that team too.
And there's some child labor going on because there's one of those people that they rescue. Yeah, maybe I honestly, that's why I like doing this show, because it gives me a perspective that I maybe not took, because I was kind of like, the whole thing's a bit I did like in the pantheon of stuff that's come out since Endgame, because you've got to remember the purest of feeling. Endgame and more than Endgame, the end of Infinity War, where Thanos wins and then sits down, as he said, I'm going to sit in my garden and look at the fucking sunset, and he sits down. Then that movie ended. Like,
yeah,
the actual emotional feeling that gave me, like, will never leave me. I'll always remember that. And I think it's kind of like chasing the high. I'll never get there again. But
it was good to see the bad guy win for once too.
Yeah, and so I mean, he's a megalomaniacal, a psychopath, but he's also not 100% wrong in the way, when you're thinking about conservation of resources and things like that. But
we say that all the time on our podcast. Is like the arc of a great villain is when you can see their point. When you can like, well, he's not wrong.
he's not wrong. Yeah, I don't agree with the way he goes about it.
Yeah, but he's I get why he did it.
100% wrong. Yeah, I remember for a long time after the film came out, whenever me and my fiance were like stuck in traffic or something, we'd be like, and it never worked. Yeah. But yeah, I just was sort of, again, I might need to re-see it, but it was good. It was nice to see these people back again, because it has been a while since the second one came out. Second one was phase 2, is that right?
Yeah, both of them are phase 2.
I think so. Yeah,
both of them are phase 2. So it's been.
Yeah, I think one was the beginning of phase and then the end of phase, right? It was kind of like how they were able to put both in there at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. So thinking about, this is the end. James Gunn is moving on. A lot of the cast have said that they're not going to be returning. It does appear like, spoilers everybody, that Star-Lord will return in some fashion, perhaps even Rocket. How do we feel everybody was kind of tied up? Like, was there anybody's story that stuck out to you as like, that's a really, really satisfying end? Juan, start with you.
I think Drax is it, just me being a dad, that one hit home for me. I was just like, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah,
just because everybody has known him for being one thing, but his main motivation was just being a dad and just avenging his child's death. That was probably like that line that Nebula says to him, like, you're not Drax the Destroyer, you're Drax the father. Like you were never meant to be a destroyer, you were meant to be a father. I mean, give me all the tissue in the world, please. That was just like, man, that one hit. Yeah. That was a really heartfelt, and for it to come from Nebula. Did I say Gamora last time?
No, you said Nebula.
I said Nebula. Okay, for it to come out of everybody in that Guardians family, for it to come from her, like that was wild, because she's kind of the more, I wouldn't say heartless, but just the more. Like,
she's clinical.
Doesn't show emotion, and just doesn't show emotion. Yeah,
she's a robot person. You know what I mean?
Yes.
No, I completely agree. And look, that does. I'm not a parent, but it got me. And give it up for my main man Batista. Like, what a talent! Like, he really is.
Yeah.
He someone said it. I can't remember if it was James Gunn or someone or other. It might have even been Denny.
Rian Johnson. It was Rian Johnson.
It was Rian Johnson who directed him in The Glass Onion, and he said at some point a director is going to give this guy a real role, and he's going to win an Academy Award because he is really talented. He's kind of a character actor at that point when he's given a character role. He has that dramatic depth, that dramatic weight. Addy, how do you feel? Like who tied up nicely for yourself?
Nebula. Nebula's my favorite Guardian. And just seeing her relationship go from being a villain in the first one to being a part of the Guardians to being the only, like, the other half of the Guardians that survived the snap. And her relationship with Rocket, it got me, like, when she gets up, and we haven't talked about Adam Warlock yet, but when she gets up from the Adam Warlock attack, and the first thing she says is, "Where's Rocket?" And then when Rocket wakes up at the end, the first thing he says is, "Where's Nebula?" It's something that's just there in those movies that you can find, and it's beautiful.
I think in
they have a more 5-year bond between just the two of them.
Exactly.
Than everybody else. So like their relationship had to have gotten stronger.
It was an interesting choice, honestly, to have. Rocket kind of makes a little bit more sense because he's kind of a fan favorite. To have Nebula survive the snap, I always thought that was really interesting. To have her have such agency in Endgame, especially being that she then goes up against her own self, in a really interesting way. Yeah, it plays out in this film because she is she's kind of the surrogate leader because Star-Lord is still, you know, in such bad shape after losing Gamora. And
she killed herself. That's kind of a mind fuck, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Like that's you know, even in science fiction, that's some fucked up shit. You know, like that's.
Is that suicide or murder?
I don't know.
That's
it's
a chicken before the egg kind of conversation.
Smurder. I don't know what it is. But yeah, I think she's for me like the story that kind of felt the most genuine was the Star-Lord Gamora love story that didn't end the way you wanted it to. You know, she went back to the Ravagers because that's her family. That's what she knows now.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know him, you know, and he was got this like constant thing of trying to get, and then in the end he just accepts all this. She is not the person, you know, she's not the person I love. She can't be. You know, that kind of
that line between them at the end was beautiful too. The where she kind of starts getting a glimpse of like feelings for him. She's like, hey, I bet, you know, if we were together, it'd have been great.
Yeah, exactly.
That was awesome.
Just a nice sort of button of like, yes, this we both recognize that there is something here, but there is none of that previous for us to be, you know, in that place. And I feel like that's it's an honest way to deal with it, you know, as opposed to they just get together and everything's happy. And it also gives Star-Lord the opportunity to go home. Which is also a part of the story that hit for me of going home and having his grandfather remember him and you know, being a human again for the first time since he was taken.
Did you guys see that coming at any point in the movie?
No.
What?
Am
I the only one?
I did because they had the photo. I was like, yeah, either he's gonna die, he's gonna die, or he's gonna go back.
I said. I spotted it when they were talking about people on Earth dying at like 40 or 50.
Yeah.
And when he's talking about his grandfather, I'm like, I bet you this is going to end with him going home. I swear to God. I'm like, if it doesn't, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah.
And then it didn't. So I was happy.
Yeah. And it's a really satisfying end to that arc. But I don't know, maybe I just wasn't looking in that direction as far as... Honestly, I and you might want to fight me on this and it's okay. I feel like they're a little toothless for not killing him. Like when he sacrificed himself at the end there, when nowhere was exploding, and he gets stuck in space, and they're all screaming, you know, his name
to get him,
and then they grab him and they just put those, you know, very convenient healing packs on him, and he's all right at the end. I reckon it would have had a much greater emotional weight if they had.
I thought he was dead. Yeah, I thought that was goodbye to Star-Lord.
And it would have been a good bait and switch from what it looked like they were going to do, which was kill Rocket.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
I think that it would have had a different tone for sure.
Yeah. Sorry, Addy, what was that?
Yeah, I think it would have made perfect sense for Star-Lord to be the one who died because Yondu died saving him, and now he dies saving his best friend. And
exactly.
Yeah.
I think I also do feel like that's where James Gunn leaves off Star-Lord. Like everything that comes for Star-Lord, like in the future, is all like Marvel shows and whatever. But I feel like there's a part of me that can believe that that's where Star-Lord died, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think they probably want to.
Maybe we can get. I have a feeling like that was James Gunn would have had it that way, and maybe we can get the guy from Disney back in here. But I don't know. Maybe that was Disney's little finger on the thing.
I don't know anything about that. We're not paying attention to James Gunn anymore because that guy's a turncoat motherfucker.
Wow, you sound really bitter there, Disney Plus.
Yeah, really resentful.
But that's, you know, it was still a satisfying end to his story. They bait it back. I just thought it would have been interesting if they had done it. I always like big swings. Let's talk about Rocket real quickly before we get into the villains. I know a lot of people have a problem with this storyline, you know, going back to his origins, you know, as a baby raccoon, which is fucking adorable. Don't get me wrong.
Oh my God, the cutest thing.
Yeah, it's so, and his friends as well, you know, Floor and you know, the other characters, these genetically modified animals. Hey, look,
you guys know his brother Sean Gunn did the voice of Baby Rocket, right?
Yeah, it's impressively so. Like it's you know, like, you know, really it leans into kind of what Bradley Cooper was doing with the kind of Bronx accent. But yeah, as I said, a lot of people have a problem with this. My friends of mine have walked out because they couldn't handle how the animal torture stuff. And I totally get that.
Wow,
I'm an animal rights activist. I'm a vegan. I totally get it. I may be able to divorce myself from it a little bit easier because I understand that it's ones and zeros, and I can go, well, that's
right. It's not actual animal torture. Yeah,
exactly.
I like that they didn't show it. Like when Rocket was getting tortured, we just saw the reaction of the Guardians.
Yeah.
Which I kind of felt like that was them playing it safe. Like, hey, we're going to get backlash from PETA if we show this.
Of course, man. Like, it's not even PETA. It's just people not wanting to engage with something that, human beings are human beings, and you could be pragmatic about it and be like, yeah, we're all flesh and blood and people get hurt and whatever. But animals, there's an innocence, because human beings are the only creatures on planet Earth that cognize their own death. We're the only ones who understand that at the end of life is death. The animals have a fight or flight response, but they don't understand that something ends like that. So when they're hurt and tortured, there's an innocence there that is being corrupted, being hurt, that shouldn't be. But I feel like sidelining him in the story of itself was the move, but you have to have him as an agent, in his own story, and for him to then get revenge on the High Evolutionary, not revenge, but to have that story come full circle, you need all that backstory. And he's always talked about it. He talked about it in the first film, where he gets drunk with Drax and they get into a fight, and he's like, he called me a little freak or whatever, and do you think I wanted to have my parts pulled apart and put back together, like, and he gets it, man. He figures out, he goes in there and he saves all those baby raccoons, and he goes, I'm Rocket Raccoon, like, fucking.
Oh my god,
that was
the first time we heard that.
Yeah,
hell yeah, man, that was for him to actually, because in every Guardians movie, he's always like, I'm not a raccoon, or I'm not this, I'm not that, and then for him to read it and be like, okay, I guess I am, and to just come to terms with it, and then for us the first time hear him say it, or just hear it heard in the MCU, Rocket Raccoon, like, ugh. That was definitely.
It means he's able to own what's happened to him as well. That's trauma. That's generational trauma. Being able to turn that into something powerful. It's such a great story arc for him. You know what? I like this movie more. We talk about it, honestly. One
Sometimes
quick thing.
you need to.
It's happened before. It's happened before.
Yeah.
It happened with Black Adam. I was like, I could not care less. And Addie's like, check it out. And I did, and I dug it. And Dungeons and Dragons more than anything else as well. I was like, this is my shit.
I really want to see that film. And like, I'm hearing what you guys are saying about it. I kind of didn't want to keep listening because I was like, I don't want spoilers.
That's fair.
But I heard the beginning and like just you raving about it, Eddie. I was like, oh, this is definitely a must see, because
it's good fun.
I don't play D&D, but the wife and I were like, we wish we knew people that played it because we definitely would like to.
You get in on it, yeah. I kind of feel the same. If I lived with that where Addie lives, I'd probably get in on that game. But it's well worth your time. Just before we move on to the villains, as I was saying, let's talk about a giant anus and my favorite cameo of all time. My main man, Nathan Fillion.
I fucking knew it. Yes. I fucking knew you would love that so much.
Bringing the heat, man.
He's in every Guardians. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, in the first one, he's the blue alien.
He's that blue dude that
puts all the trees up your face.
Thing.
That thing.
Yeah.
And then in the second one, he had a cameo that was cut, if I'm not mistaken.
He's in a deleted scene, yeah.
He worked with James Gunn on the film Slither. They're famously good chums. He was
in Suicide Squad, yeah.
Yes, as who is he again?
TDK. Your name's
the detachable kid.
The detachable kid. In the comics, his name's Arms Fall Off Boy, but whatever.
Oh yeah.
Can you just not have any more thought into that, please? Just what is his powers? His arms fall off. All right, name him that. Okay,
name him that. Yeah, it's like couldn't be more obvious if you tried. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to shout him out because he's a fucking legend, and you should all watch The Rookie.
I love
because
Nathan
it's
Fillion.
Really good. Yeah,
The Rookie's such a good show.
It's awesome. We were watching some episodes last. Have you seen The Rookie, Addie?
No, I've seen clips of it. I've seen clips of it.
It's really good. Like it's
Castle was a great show too,
kind of thing. Castle's awesome. Firefly, but yeah, The Rookie's like it's just a cop procedural thing, but it's really legit and it takes no prisoners.
Yeah.
Like they don't fuck around. You know, they're people get hurt and it is severe, and you know it's real police shit. Like it's, you know, they've got body cam footage, and it's just, yeah, you should check out The Rookie. All I wanted to say is,
Absolutely.
Nathan, I know you're listening. Give us a ring, mate.
Absolutely.
And I don't know why you haven't been Hal Jordan already. Because you did the voice for it a lot.
God.
I just think he's the one. What's the matter?
I forgot that exists and I want it so bad.
He's been doing the voice for years and years. You know, like it's just make it happen. He's still fine. You know, you do that whatever the version of Green Lantern is that they're going to do in the James Gunniverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Just have him do it.
That like buddy cop version of it. Yeah.
He's my favorite.
Man.
He's my favorite part of the first Justice League animated film.
Yeah. He's great, and you're right. Juan, you do it as a buddy cop thing, and you base it on a Grant Morrison and Liam Sharp's run on the comics a few years ago, which was like in seasons. Actually, it was like season 1, season 2, Dark Star Wars, I think it was called. And it's like a cop procedural show, but with interstellar shit, and it was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
So, you know, hashtag Nathan Fillion for Green Lantern, please.
Yep.
Speaking of,
just because we're in DC, because we're gonna stay there for a bit, because we had a great pitch in our DC episode where Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart go to Earth and they find that there's the anti-life equation there, and then there's this whole fucking panic in the Green Lantern Corps that happens.
yeah,
Make that.
That's the move. I mean, you're making 700 other movies, James Gunn. Surely you can find time to make our one. Come on. So, again, back to Marvel. Let's talk about the villains before we do kind of a roundup thing here. So for me in this picture, the villain is obviously the High Evolutionary as a lead. Let's just quickly talk about Adam Warlock, you know, briefly there. I feel like he might have been mishandled.
Tiny bit.
Yeah, like considering the idea of like, you know, building him up in the second one and he's being birthed, and then there's that weird Oedipus kind of relationship that he has with Elizabeth Debicki's character, and it's, you know, and he's kind of dim as well, like, and played wonderfully by Will Poulter. Like he's great.
He did a great job.
Yeah, and Homie is yoked. He is Marvel yoked in this.
Yeah, man.
But I just and he does get a great redemptive story, which is, you know, the part of not killing Star-Lord that I was okay with. It's like, oh, okay, that's Adam Warlock now has redemption, and he's one of the Guardians. Like, it's beautiful, you know. It's like in the Fast and the Furious movies where, you know, the villain from the one movie is a friend in the next one. Like, I'm totally cool with that.
Oh
but
my God, I'm so glad that you said that, because my partner in crime from the podcast, Kike, he has a joke that he wanted me to tell you guys.
Oh, please, here we go.
So on our podcast, we do that joke of the day. Those are more like dad jokes, really bad jokes that are just, they're funny because they're bad.
Yeah.
This is not that, but he did want me to share something for with you guys.
Okay.
And that is here, let me find it. So it's a Vin Diesel thing. So, did you guys hear that Vin Diesel was nearly fired from his role as Groot in Guardians 3 for constantly forgetting his line? He kept saying, "I am family," instead of "I am Groot."
That's actually interesting. Just while we're on the Grootness, that's a good joke. Well done, Kike. Thank you for representing in spirit, if nothing else. Just before we get back to Adam Warlock, you know, the people are kind of. I've heard a few people say, "Oh, you know, at the end it's ridiculous. All of a sudden, you know, Groot can speak. You know, he's like, I love you guys." It's like, no, hang on a second. You're misunderstanding. That's not.
Yep.
That's not what is being heard outside of the Guardians. We're inside the Guardians, and we're hearing the translation of I am Groot.
Yes.
Yeah, like you got
love
that right
too. Oh yeah. At first I didn't. I'm like, oh shit, he spoke words, and then I'm like, then I started thinking about it. I think somebody pointed it out.
Yeah.
Is that we've been with him so long, now we understand his language. And I was just like, chef's kiss to that. Because that was beautiful touch. Beautiful.
So well done. Like that's a great way to kind of have, because Groot's the one who changes the least, you know, honestly. He's sort of like a you know, a bit of a heavy, but to have that kind of round out and to have us be now a part of the Guardians and to understand that from them was really beautiful. Addy, how did you feel about Adam Warlock? I know we talked about it a little bit, in our previous episodes about him sort of, on the cards for this film.
Yeah, I will say there on first watch, it does feel like a bit of a shoe-in for Marvel, but this is like something in the future is going to happen with him.
Yeah, it does feel a bit that way. On
rewatch, though, it like he fits. He's not a villain. He's just a character that just happens to be here, and it fits by the end of it.
He's also terribly misguided. Like he's not a villain in the traditional sense of he's almost a tool of the High Evolutionary of
kind of seen him as like the new Nebula.
Yeah, a little bit.
As like he comes in as the villain. But he's only a villain because of this one thing that changes in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
And that was... Nebula was really on this rampage only to please her dad. In comes Warlock. It's just the same thing with the mom. He's just there to do whatever his mom wants.
I do feel like that these series of films understand relationships in a way that some of the others don't. And I think we were talking about it last week, Addy, about DNA, about when you see something, you turn on the radio and Metallica's playing, you don't know that song, but you know it's Metallica because that's how it sounds. I think James Gunn identifies himself as an artist by understanding emotions and relationships in a way that aren't necessarily obvious in this kind of big tentpole stuff. So yeah, I completely agree with that. Let's talk about the man himself as a way of me to lead into the High Evolutionary. James Gunn was fired famously from the Marvel Cinematic Universe after old tweets of his reappeared, in the mass populace about him going to inappropriate parties and saying inappropriate things and whatnot. I mean, you also got to remember this motherfucker cut his teeth at the film studio Troma, where they make exploitation pictures, and they've certainly a very particular sense of humor. I'm not saying it's good or bad or right or wrong. I'm just stating the facts. That happens. The cast backs him, and they say we will not return without him. Marvel panics and gets him back, and then he writes a script. And homie is sassy as fuck in this script because just let me get through this. The High Evolutionary is a grand power who creates societies, creates universes, creates things from scratch, and when they're working at their biggest capacity, the High Evolutionary goes in, pulls them apart, figures out what's working, and puts them back together to make them better again, and does it again and again and again. This is allegorical of Marvel's Phase 4. It is looking at what works and figuring out how can we draw this out even further. How can we get the most out of this with the least amount of effort, and how we get mad at it when it doesn't work. I feel like that is very much maybe not a dig, but definitely a comment on the studio system, at Marvel, in the same way that Jon Favreau made the film Chef after completing work on Iron Man 2 as a comment on, had the emotional ride that he had to go on to be able to go from Iron Man and the success of that to Iron Man 2 and have the studio come in and be, so intrusive and be like, you have to do all this stuff at the same time. Gunn had a good out because he knew that he was walking out the door after this one, and then all of a sudden he's walking into DC, so much so that he got a little cocky during an interview, and when he was asked about the Infinity Stones, and he laughed and said that he made up the lore for those things in like 30 minutes while he was writing the Guardians 1 script. I'm like, maybe shut up. Maybe shut your fucking mouth. But whatever. So the High Evolutionary, I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to look up this actor's name. Because
it's a tongue twister, yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Iwudi something?
Iwudi?
I think is
Iwudu.
Sorry.
Iwudu?
Iwudi is something totally different.
Oh, wow. Chukwudi Iwuji. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Chukwudi. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What an amazing actor.
Yeah. Close to it, I mean.
Yeah, it was pretty close. His last name is what you said. But yeah, Chukwudi, what an incredible actor. What a great performance.
Yeah.
Like, just...
Yeah.
so much range. You know, you kind of you understand him again. Like you don't agree with him. You don't think that he should be building societies in order to study them and then decimate them. Like the fact that at the end of the second act, they destroy an entire civilization, and it happens. Like the Guardians don't win. Is real ballsy, you know. How do we feel about the evolutionary? Addy, let's go with you first.
I hate the evolutionary. Like
you do.
I do.
As a story contrivance or as a human being?
As a character, I hate that character. But like I've seen this argument that he might be right in some places, and I just can't stand for it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't see it.
Like the last right villain for Marvel was Shang-Chi's father.
Yeah.
Or right in air quotes.
Yeah.
But
he had a noble pursuit. Yeah, no, I mean you can understand the High Evolutionary's motivations. I don't think you agree with them at all. Like but as a character, it's not like he's just like, I want power and money and stuff and things. He's like, I need to make the people, I need to make creatures better because we need to be the highest form of ourselves, which is ridiculous because that journey is within. You know, there is no outsourcing of that at all, and I feel like that's so apparent when he hurts Rocket's friends and Rocket tears his fucking face off, and then you see what he looks like at the end. It's like that's where we're at. You know, that is the cost of hubris, 100%.
So it's the face off actually paying off at the end.
Yeah, it was a literal face-off. We were talking about Nick Cage before. So it's as far as villains goes, pretty high level, because that's constantly a problem, and it's not just Marvel's problem; it's any movie's problem. Villains are hard to do, right, without them being mustache twirling, chuckling motherfuckers.
Yeah, I like the way what Rocket said about him is that that's why I'm like with Addy, where I can't see like his point at all, because what Rocket said was you weren't trying to make things better, you just didn't like the way things were.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like
just
that
the
line,
way they were. Yeah,
just the way they were. Yeah, I think that line kind of sums up that character. Like I don't think he had any good intentions at all. He just hated things the way that they were.
Like
even himself. He even evolutionized
evolutionized.
He evolved today. Yeah. He evolved himself.
I don't know words today.
That's fine.
So
it's early. That's
he evolved himself. Yeah.
He kept
Pokemon
working
style
on himself, and I think that there is also a ubiquitous nature to that kind of behavior within California, within Hollywood. As a system, there's like, I've said it before. There's no seasons, so there's no evidence of the transience of things. So aging is looked on as a disease, and if there's a disease, there must be a cure, and that's the cure. Sometimes is, doing all that stuff. No judgment. I just think it's, it's unusual. So yeah, I mean, I think as in terms of its parts, it's all working in the right places. Again, it's beautiful doing this show because I do have more of a because I've gone in with the stink, with the Marvel stink of like, Ant-Man sucks my balls. That movie was shot. That movie was made by AI. I'm positive of it, and I'm a really positive person. But it was just like, what the fuck are we doing here anymore? And then Guardians was like, oh, this is what we're doing here.
Yeah.
But then,
beautiful picture.
Wait for the next one, and we'd right where we were with fucking Ant-Man. Like, oh shit, there was a sparkle, and now it's gone to shit again.
Yeah, well, I mean, they need a definitive voice, and I think DC is about to get really interesting, if nothing else, because they do have somebody with a definitive vision who is a creator as well and not a producer. James Gunn is a writer director first, before he's a producer, and I think that they're gonna benefit from that, and I think Marvel will probably need that at some point. I know that there's talk about Sam Raimi coming on to direct the Avengers pictures after the Kang Dynasty. Secret Wars. Maybe he's the guy, I don't know. But we'll see. I'm very happy with this picture. Thank you guys for building me up about it a little bit. I feel a little bit better about it. Before we finish up and move on to our questions and answers section, let's go through and just go sort of best favorite moment, favorite line kind of thing, one each, and we'll start with my main man Addy. Hit me with some fire, son.
My favorite
moment.
My favorite moment would be. Jesus, this one's hard. This one's really hard. Right.
That's why I made you go first. Ha 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 ha.
What? So you're implying that every time we record, I'm just hard? Is that what you're implying?
I assume so. I can't see below the waist, so you might be. I'm not wearing pants, so there you go.
Same. Yeah, all right.
Oh, there we go. See, yeah, perfect on the show.
Nice.
I will say though, while Addy's thinking of it, it is so lovely, Juan, to have you on, and we do have great chemistry, and it's so important, in podcasting, and it's a beautiful community to be a part of, and me and Addy have been on your show, and I've guested on other shows, and sometimes it's not the ones that I've kind of been successful on, the Sequel Suck and Podcast Assemble and stuff, but in your show, sometimes it's a bit static and you can't find that groove, but we found our groove really quick that episode we did with you guys.
No, again, thanks for having me on, guys. I'm a big fan of your guys' podcast, so like just being on it, it's a real treat for me.
Awesome. Well, we have to have you back when Kike is not fucking working.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll get together for sure. Yeah.
I'm assuming in my head right now he's roller skating around a goddamn restaurant with 3 trays on his head and fucking just
Ratatouille style, just
going ham. Yeah, Ratatouille style, absolutely. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, Addy, what was the favorite moment now that you've had a bit of moment to think?
I've got mine, Addy, if you need a little more time to think.
No, I got mine. All
right, shoot.
You got it? Okay.
My favorite moment is the afterlife moment where Rocket meets his friends.
Oh God, it was such a good moment, man. So good. I mean, talk about emptying the tissue box on that one.
Yeah.
When she was like, "Not yet." Just
Yes, dude.
I went home and hugged my cats so hard.
Seriously,
it was just like, I love you guys.
Yes, it was so good. It gave me very like Deadpool 2 vibes. You know what I mean? Where she's just like, not yet. He's like, I want to go with you. And Rocket wanted to go with his friends.
Yeah. It wasn't time.
Man, it
wasn't his time.
That was a phenomenal. I agree, Addy. That was one of the better moments of the movie.
Well, sure. You got a road to hoe now. What's yours? What's your favorite moment?
So mine, well, I have 2 that are like playing in my head, but I talked about one a little bit, was the Drax line about you are meant to be a destroyer, you're meant to be a dad. Yeah. But the other moment was the F-bomb. We finally got an F-bomb in the Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Just open the fucking door.
Yeah, I know. It was so unexpected as well. Like, and it's Pratt's great for that because he has that in his bag. Like, he's a great comedian more than anything else.
So I learned a little bit more about that scene where, so they had talked. James had brought it, so he didn't think that Disney was going to let him do it.
No way.
And he talked to Feige about it, and Feige's like, well, the Russo brothers kind of had something similar in Endgame, and that they ultimately didn't put it in because they didn't want that to be their legacy. And then he's like, so, I mean, if you're cool with that being your legacy, he goes, do you know who you're fucking talking to? Hell yeah, I want that to be my legacy. It is, James Gunn's like, put it in there. Yeah.
Have you seen the pedophile joke tweets I've made? I'm happy to say fuck in a Disney picture.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. All right, my favorite moment is Drax dancing for the kids.
Oh, that was a good one,
you know what I mean? And his soul comes out. You see this dude's soul, and I was like, that is, and it was so sweet and so genuine, and Batista's so great, and I remember smiling, like, it was the first time I'd smiled throughout the picture. Like, there was a couple of jokes and everything, but it's a pretty deep, dark, compared to the other 2, like, it's pretty deep and dark. I know that Star-Lord's mother died of cancer that his father gave her and all this stuff, but it was a very dark first act of that picture. So to see Drax do that was just, it kind of got me. Bless him. Bless Dave Bautista. Let's go.
No, for sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that you're like hammer on the nail for that one, because you hit it perfectly, saying that his soul came to life, because you kind of see like, I'm pretty sure that's how he was with his daughter, and then his daughter dying just took that soul out of him.
Yeah,
I guarantee you right now, if any one of my kids, you know, God forbid, but if they were to be gone, I'd end up like Drex. I wouldn't be happy-go-lucky anymore. I wouldn't be making jokes anymore.
no.
But then for him like have all those kids around him, and it's kind of just like his daughter's there again.
Yeah,
That's why he's able to be happy again. Oh, it was beautiful.
to be able to grow a character in a third movie like that is pretty remarkable, and it's down to really good writing and really good performance. So, Addy, what's your favorite line, buddy? Or one of?
I've got my favorite line, and this is not cheating. Shit, I can't hear you.
Kanji, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Okay. This is not cheating because this is also my podcast and I make the fucking rules.
That's right.
I nearly spat my tea out. Fucking that was some gangster shit. That was some of the most gangster shit I've ever heard. It's my podcast, motherfuckers. Go ahead.
That's right.
Podcaster.
And this line hit me hard because of things that have happened in my life as well. And like, it's just, like this line is why I love Rocket so much after this movie. The line is, "Can I join you guys?" When he goes into that trance and he sees his friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just brutal.
Yeah, that was good.
But yeah, also like that's a hopeful moment too. You know, like it's not just about him missing his friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a powerful emotional picture. Juan, what's your favorite line, buddy?
Well, just real quick to talk about what Addy was talking about. That was really good because I felt like he had survivor's guilt the entire time. Because like he was ready to break them out, and then they all died, and like I feel like that's why he was ready to go. Just because the entire time he had survivor's guilt of being like, I was the only one to make it out, and you guys are supposed to come with me. He's like, fuck it, I'll just go with you guys.
Yeah,
but that was a great line. My line was Nebula just saying, "Knock it off!" Yeah. When Peter starts to get those doughy love eyes.
That's got to think of like him misplacing his emotions and his affection.
For
like,
sure.
And she just shuts it the fuck down because that's what would happen in a normal movie. It'll be like, oh, well, this will happen then. But you don't need a romance every time. So,
yes.
Pretty great.
I think that was one of my favorite ones. Just the knock it. I laughed hard at that.
She's great too. Karen Gillan's like she's fire in this. Yeah, my favorite line is, "I'm Rocket Raccoon." Like I was just, I threw my hands up. You know, like I haven't done that in again. I don't like putting with one thing in position with another. Rising tide serves all ships, but you know, I haven't had a moment like that in a long time in one of these movies, and for him to just represent like that, and such a great performance by Bradley Cooper as well, vocal performance. He really sells the shit out of it. So yeah, that's my favorite line. I just also want to say one more thing before we move on. And I forgot to say this at the beginning, talking about, you know, the way things are made now and the Ant-Man of it and all that kind of stuff and AI and all that terrible shit that's happening. You know, I don't want to go into it too much because I'll fucking talk your ear off, but just the way that things are being made so simply and you can the artifice of it is so obvious and so real. It's so present of this stuff that's just created. Like, I don't believe any of this. The uncanny valley is getting deeper and deeper. This film, and give it up to James Gunn, it sets a record for the most makeup appliances for a single film, having 23,000 prosthetic used across more than 1,000 actors. To do that, you know, to commit to that kind of craft, as opposed to, I will do it in post, you know, that's massive respect for being a classicist like that, you know.
It's so easy to do with Disney money backing you, you know.
Yeah,
so
everything on sets or whatever, and there was some legit sets made here. It wasn't all, you know, some extensions and stuff, but they were on real physical objects. They weren't standing in a volume. Like, I appreciate that. I think that's. There's some lost art there. It was like when I was watching the Michael Bay movie Ambulance, and they were using real squibs, and I'm like, what the fuck had happened with the squibs? Like, no one's used. I just sound like fucking Bill Cosby. We're talking about getting the squibs and putting pop Sorry. Oh, geez, I haven't brought out my Bill Cosby before. There you go, folks. Season 2. Yeah, it's great to see those kind of classic film techniques in use still. So, Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3, check it out. End of the mixtape. It's pretty dope. And the film ends with a great needle drop. What is it again?
What? Oh, the legendary Star-Lord will return?
No, the needle drop, like the final song.
Oh, the dog days are over.
The Dog Days Are Over by Florence and the Motherfucking Machine. Killer band, a killer performer, and a great song to end on. And to have them all dancing is beautiful, is wonderful. We love it.
Can we give it up for the soundtrack to this movie?
It's pretty great.
Soundtrack is amazing, dude. James Gunn always coming at the fire soundtracks.
He knows how to curate a good soundtrack. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Because he does it. So we talked about it a little bit on our podcast, but he's like great for tying in the script into the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I mean, like the songs aren't there just because they sound good. They actually play into like words of the song are part of the script in a way.
So much. The emotion of the scene. Like the whole second film that's based around this one story about, a sailor who comes home to the woman he loves, but his real love is the sea. And that's Ego's entire thought process. I watched that again recently and really dug it. I didn't really like that on first watch. I think if we did another ranking, Addy, that'd be higher. But it's well worth your time. Opens with Creep. Enjoy yourselves. So we're going to finish up with our question and answers. Do we have the questions and the answers?
We do.
We have the questions, at least. How many questions?
Hold on, man. Let me open it up.
It's all right. You don't need to prepare. It's only a podcast.
You say that every time. I'm not going to fucking prepare.
I know. That's fine. I didn't prepare either.
Do you think fucking my fucking promotion for the past 1 year for Blood Axe has been fucking prepared?
If it had been, you're making some sweet cash. That's all I'm saying. So, how many questions we got?
We got 4
11.
questions.
4 questions. Four
Nice.
questions these. But before that, here's Johnny's theme song. Here we are with these questions, and it's so great to have Juan here to be one of the answerers of said questions. Addy, what's question number 1?
Yeah.
Question number 1 is, what is your favorite song from the soundtrack?
Dog Days, yeah.
Dog Days. Juan, what's yours?
That Beastie Boys.
No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
That one. Yeah, dude. That song at that moment in the movie, I was just like, fuck yes.
It's funny that that song's having a bit of a renaissance at the moment, the same way that Sabotage did for a little while. But fuck, the Beastie Boys rule, so good. And that all
yeah, dude. They were in fucking Mario Kart. Like what?
In the Mario.
Have you guys
movie?
seen it? Or not Mario Kart? The Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah.
But
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
What, was it
the
No
reason
Sleep
I
Till
say
Brooklyn?
Mario Kart is because they put it during that Mario Kart scene.
Right.
Yeah, dude. It was badass. Even in that one, I'm like, hell yeah, dude.
I think I got to check
Fucking
that.
Mario's
Yeah,
rocking out.
Put Beastie Boys are like Rage Against the Machine. You put him in something, I'm going to listen.
Yeah.
What's question number 2?
Question number 2 is, what storyline do you wish Guardians would have had? Wait, what?
Oh Christ! You haven't reread them again. Oh, this is what I'm dealing with.
What storyline do you wish Guardians would have dived deeper into?
Okay.
Ooh, that's a great question. Storyline.
Probably they kind of did it. I mean, with Rocket, but I guess because that was always the Wolverine origin story. You didn't know it until you knew it. Probably Adam Warlock. I think he was misserved. There's a lot of pathos that could be mined from that, especially if he was kind of understood that he was genetically engineered and realized do I have a soul? What is my place in this world that is an organic world, and I'm an artifice. That would have been interesting. Yeah. What about you, Juan?
I was actually hoping to see this in Guardians 3, which we didn't, but I like the way that they went with it anyway. But I would have loved to have seen how Groot and Rocket started teaming up.
Oh,
I would love to have seen that partner. That storyline. I think that would have been fucking amazing to see.
That's an animated prequel I want, because the first time you meet them,
yeah.
they're on that planet as bounty hunters, and he's drinking.
Yeah,
from the
they're
fountain.
already.
That's it.
Yeah, they've got a relationship established. They've got a rapport.
Yeah.
I would love to. I gotta imagine that they met in probably one of the jails that they broke out of.
Yeah. Oh, that's a fucking...
Yeah, that's actually a really fucking good idea, Juan. This is Disney Plus.
All
We'll
right.
be in touch. We're going to cut you
Very
a
nice.
check.
My email.
It's
I'll
not
have my
gonna
people
be-
get in touch with your people.
We'll do lunch.
No, good fucking Disney
right.
Plus just slutting it around every podcast he fucking comes
Yeah,
on, the
man.
son of a bitch.
They found me.
God, jerk. Addy, what about you, mate?
Yeah, I would say Adam Warlock.
Yeah, see, that's why we're bruvs.
See?
Cool. The tray. Idiot. Professional idiot. Okay.
Yeah. What do you think the next step for Star-Lord's character is, since they're teased at the end?
Okay. What do you think, Addy?
Oof.
Disney Plus show. That's the sensible
Yeah.
move.
Yeah. I think he's just going to be heavily featured in Secret Wars and stuff.
I don't see a
It-
place for him in Secret Wars, honestly.
Well, I mean, if he's back on Earth and he's back there and he's reconnected with his family, and all of a sudden he's a human being again, or he's an Earthling, and then Earth is under threat, he's going to step up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the move. What do you reckon, Juan?
I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm nervous if they give him a standalone movie, if it'll go kind of like the way Black Widow did, or kind of feels out of place. I kind of agree with Eddie. I think his best avenue is either in someone else's film as like a, I don't know, cameo, or maybe just another person in that story, or a Disney show.
Yeah, I'd be happy with either of those. Star-Lord in, you know what I mean? Like an Indiana Jones and the sort of issue, like Star-Lord and the people
Or
with
maybe-
the big anuses in the sky, whatever.
Yeah. Or maybe, God damn it! Now I can't unsee that. Now that you guys said that, I didn't see an anus at first, but now I
Oh,
see
really?
it.
Then our minds are very different, brother. Christ, it's the first thing I thought.
Maybe what they're referring to, like an Avengers film. Is that's where we'll see him next?
Yeah, I guess so. That's sort of my vibe. But yeah, I'd happily watch a show with him if it's anything like Hawkeye. Shit. Right. So the fourth and final questions.
The final question's mine that I'm going to ask later.
Okay.
What can MCU learn from this antagonist? Don't be a fucking asshole to animals. Jesus.
Yeah,
Perfect.
there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Don't fuck with raccoons, motherfucker, because
Yeah.
you'll get it. Story-wise, probably just make sure that whatever it is that they're doing, they believe in it.
Yeah.
I think because you can't fight fanatics. You know, it's like Thanos. You can't argue with Thanos. He's like, I'm going to tear down the world and remake it at the end of that film. He's like, I gave you too much leniency. I believe in wiping everything out and starting again. That's a pretty dope motivation. What do you reckon, Juan?
Yeah, I agree. That's why I'm kind of pissed with What If, where they just changed Thanos' whole reason for being with just, fucking T'Challa talked him out of it. Are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
Like,
I mean,
really?
I understand.
I was
he's
just like,
amazing and everything, but fuck off.
yeah, I like, hey, he can, talk with the best of them, but him to talk a guy whose sole being was this whole 10-year storyline was just, he convinced him otherwise. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, it's and also in Loki, when it's like he opens that drawers and there's a bunch of fucking Infinity Stones in there, and we're like, talk about taking the teeth out or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I understood that because like they're out of time, so like the stones wouldn't work there.
They don't affect
I get
anything,
that. Yeah, it was kind of a just like, oh well, what the hell is this whole 10-year arc we've been about if they're just paperweights in this universe or dimension, whatever the hell
Right.
the TVA is. Yeah, but I understood it. I was just
Yeah.
like, okay, maybe they're outside of time, so yeah. But yeah, it's hard to, man, it's really hard to come like with a really great villain after Thanos.
It is, yeah. I think this is probably the best that they've done. I did really like Ethan Hawke's character in Moon Knight, though. Like I understood.
Oh yeah, he was a
that
great villain.
perspective.
Mhm.
Like he's just, he was about uniformity and about chance and letting the universe decide. Like it's almost an evil Taoist, which is an unusual sentence. But what do you reckon, Addy? Apart from the animals thing.
Yeah, we both liked Arthur Harrow, and I hated that he died at the end.
Yeah, such a shame. Such a shame. Could have done so much with it, Okay, so what was your question, Addy?
Yeah, my question was, do you think that when Groot, gets a boner, his wood is wet?
What the fuck are you talking about? Hang on a minute.
I was so glad he asked this on your podcast, because he sent that over to us as like, hey, your question of the day should be this. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, that sounds a bit more your speed than ours.
It fucking is, yeah. We definitely swing for the fences. What a fucking weird question. That's a lot.
I told him, I'm like,
there,
if he's using it right, it's wet. But
you're not wrong. If he's lubed up to the max. So, hang on a second. So there's a lot to unpack there. Do you think his wood is wet? I don't know. Why? Because he's not a beaver. Like, he's not in the... Oh, there's another one. There's another sex one. Oh, God. We've devolved again. Shit.
Season 2, baby. This is where we
Season 2,
at.
baby. Let's just go ahead and say, of course, Rocket Raccoon's wood is always wet because, he's a goddamn pimp. Wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Complete nonsense as usual, but I'm sure that's why you're here. Please do come back next time, and remember to rate and review on Spotify, Amazon Music, a giant anus in space, wherever you find us. And Juan, thank you so much for coming on. It's been such a treat to have you, and you're always welcome, my friend. You're part of the crew now. Where can people find you and Kike?
No, thank you so much, guys, for having us again. We really appreciate it. We're kind of hidden on YouTube a little bit because I feel like we kind of, I don't know if we misstepped with our name, but it's so close to Marvel that when you type us up, we're like in a deep black hole, which I'm sticking to is why we don't get as much views as you guys. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Fair.
But yeah, we're on YouTube at Till the End Online Podcast, and then we're on also IG with the same name. Instagram. Yeah.
Go and check them out, everyone. It's good fun stuff, and they're wonderful guys. All the way from Chicago, and it's beautiful. And next time we'll have you both on the show, and we'll talk about something else wonderful, maybe the Flash even, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, can't wait to have you guys on again. That was a fun episode with you guys.
Yeah, that was a good time. Yeah, I love this. The podcasting community is so beautiful. It's just I can't get enough of it. Addy, my brother, you're beautiful. You're wonderful. I cherish you.
Sorry, human. And thank you for not going in deep into why Groot's wood is not wet.
You fucking opened the door, mate. So if I had it would have been no one's fault but your own.
Yep.
Wonderful. All right, friends. We'll see you next time. Thanks again, Juan. And remember...
Stay amazing and stay safe. And happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month, everybody.
Happy Pride Month.
Massive respect. Peace.